In today's video, we are going to be looking at the sudden collapse of the AKON Scan City. Over the years, we have heard stories about how AKON wanted to build his $6 billion futuristic villa or mansion, and that mansion comprises of a lot of whole things that I'm going to reveal to you in this video. Let's dive into the whole story about how AKON City collapsed. What do you think or know about the collapse of AKON City? In 2020, singer AKON made an announcement that he was building his own $6 billion future city in Africa that looks like the hybrid of Dubai and the fictional city of Wakanda. AKON City is where innovation meets luxury, with 5 districts designed to redefine urban living. See the African Village District, where modern waterfront homes become a sprawling all-inclusive resort awaits your indulgence. Experience exhilaration in the entertainment district, boasting a cutting-edge multipurpose stadium and a colossal casino for endless excitement. Witness the future unfolding in the tech district, poised to become the Silicon Valley of Africa, where groundbreaking technology shapes tomorrow's world. And of course, the essential health and safety district, because public service such as police station, fire department, and general hospital are keys to resident quality of life. The educational district will provide comprehensive learning opportunity for both children and adults, ensuring growth and development for all. And lastly, the glamorous Sandwood district, which features 4 state-of-the-art filming studios, offices, and residential spaces, all culminating with the iconic AKON Tower, piercing the skyline to glorify the genius who created the futuristic urban oasis. For the past 4 years, AKON and his team have been preparing this city to be ready for you to experience by 2024. And just 4 years later, this is what AKON City looks like today. Lies, corruption, collusion, a shady cryptocurrency, stealing native land. These are just few of the villainous acts AKON has been accused of during these disastrous projects. At first, many of his supporters saw him as a nobleman, making valiant effort to create a real-life utopia. But now, they question why the guy who believes that all men are divine kings to be worshipped by women want to create and lead his own city. But before we get down into AKON's fall city, it is important to understand the actual achievements AKON has made over a dozen of African nations. After AKON made millions of dollars in the music industry, he wanted to extend resources to Senegal, which is where he comes from. Growing up, AKON knew the struggles of living in the dark once the sun went down. The town in Senegal that he grew up in, like many others, had no access to running water or power. Local economies are forced to shut down businesses when the sun sets, and families were constrained to candlelight and kerosene lamps to complete their nightly tasks, resulting in over 3 million deaths each year from harmful fumes and fires. In 2014, AKON Lighting Africa was launched. In the first year of AKON's Lighting Africa project, he brought the solar energy to 14 different African nations. And although his intentions were noble, he had to implement borderline unethical strategies to convince nations to invest in solar. One problem with Africans, he said, is that they often lack unity and are hesitant to think about the future. So he strategically approaches nations who had upcoming elections, then installed solar systems for free in the village of the leader's choice, such as installing street lights and solar panels for homes and businesses. Then it made those leaders look like they were invested in progressing their nation, which led to them receiving more votes from citizens. It came to the point that once that village was lit up, now the neighboring villages would bring pressure to the government and ask those same questions. How can we end lit up? Although many are critical of his tactic, at the end of the day, the communities are the ones who benefit the most. The solar electricity has allowed the vendors to operate for longer hours into the night and for children to study after dark. Also, just the simple installation of street lights led to decreased crime rates due to the visibility the solar-powered street light provides. By 2020, AKON Lighting Africa has installed 100,000 solar-powered street lights, 1,200 solar microgrids, and has created more than 5,000 jobs. But many people question how AKON was able to finance a project of this size. Sure, his music was successful, but we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars in infrastructure costs. While he was able to land a line of credit for up to $1 billion worth of solar equipment with the finance arm of China Jiangsu International Group, which is a Chinese government-owned construction firm. Most of these African nations could not afford the upfront money for installing solar infrastructures, but AKON line of credit allowed the government to pay in installments.
Bush was in power. Bush created a 200% tax on all solar or all solar-related renewable energy coming into America. So all that investment, those billions of dollars of investment that China put into this was just sitting in factories and sitting in China, couldn't be used. So I took advantage of that and went down to China and to partner with some of those companies that couldn't use all that, investment that they already put for you.
Because of AKON's efforts, an estimated 28.8 million people can now enjoy the same benefits of electricity that much of the world has enjoyed for decades.
You've always said that China has done more for Africa than any other country.
I mean, it's true. That's not something anybody can argue with.
Yeah.
I mean, they came, they laid down infrastructure. They actually did something that the European countries been around for 400 years and did nothing. That's why if you see Africa now hasn't been developed. This was the responsibility of France, Great Britain, Italy, Germany. These guys have been in Africa forever and it's never been developed. China just started putting interest in Africa. Now you have roads, roundabouts, like they're actually putting structure.
Now China has been investing in Africa since the early 2000s, but their interest has drastically increased in the past 10 years, having loaned $170 billion to 49 different nations. And while the Chinese government investing in Africa is a major step forward into the advancement of those nations, some people think that they have a secret evil motive behind their interest. Now, obviously, this Chinese investment needs to be paid back. The problem is that African total debt from 2000 to 2022 is around $1.8 trillion, which is 300% higher than African GDP growth rate in the same amount of time. This all took a turn after an investigation into these loan documents. So what exactly would constitute as acting contrary to the interests of a Chinese entity? Sounds like a purpose of the Chinese government, but I'm not going to deal with this much details concerning African debt with the Chinese government, but AKON's relationship with the Chinese financier and previous success of Lighting Africa allowed him to pinch his newest venture, AKON City. He claims that he was able to get his $1 billion credit line raised to $5 billion with these Chinese investment groups. Following the announcement of the city, AKON went on a publicity tour promoting the new projects.
The president of Senegal gave you 3 square miles of land.
Well, this is the thing. I had to actually buy the land, so it wasn't gifted to me. But what the president and the government are doing, they're actually laying the foundation for all the infrastructure on the land. The basic sewage, electricity, things like that. All the things that have to be set forth for me to build the city on top of.
Okay.
And they give me 100% full,
The city will be built on a 3 square mile plot just 60 miles from Dakar, the capital and the largest city in Senegal. Now, 3 square miles is not a ton of land. That is 2,000 acres, or a little double more than the size of Central Park in New York City. However, AKON says this version of the city is just phase 1 of the multi-phase plan. He also announced during this time that AKON City would operate fully on their own cryptocurrency called AKON.
Don't always have access to, bank accounts and so forth, but everybody has a phone.
Everybody has a phone.
So with the phone, you can make payments.
Absolutely.
And that's how it all kind of fits in.
That's
to the
where
thing.
it makes all the sense in the world.
How much AKON do you actually own?
I mean, I am the bank.
AKON said it himself that he is the bank. Not only is he building a city named after him, but also creating the currency that he controls and he owns the most of. Before launching his AKON cryptocurrency, the AKON website announced a pre-sale opportunity called the Token of Appreciation or TOA campaign. This pre-sale was treated like a donation and donors were promised 4 tokens for every $1 spent. AKON was launched on most major crypto exchanges in early 2021 and peaked at around 58 cents, which at the time was around 132% gain for the TOA holders if they sold. However, the majority believed in AKON, so they held. Within a few months. The price began spiraling down to roughly 10 cents per coin, taking the TOA holders from 132% gain to 60% loss due to the shocking dip. AKON admins offered a refund to their initial donors. One donor named Marcus said the refund was meant to come a few weeks later. We are now over a year and we are back at the same situation. We were years ago with the lack of communication, and now everybody's up in arms, but Marcus isn't alone. The owner of the Go Black to Africa YouTube channel showed proof of him emailing AKON's admin, only to be ignored for years. The YouTuber wrote to Andrew of the AKON Foundation requesting a refund on December 19, 2021. Andrew replied 22 days later and said that the YouTuber was added to the list of refund requests and we will be reaching out shortly regarding further details on how to proceed. The YouTuber provided his physical mailing address, which Andrew closed the next steps towards a refund, only for him to be ignored for 4 months with no refund, and now it has been 3 years and still no refund. When AKON was asked about these refunds, he said he had no idea there was any problems.
Because I know all the people that I know that was on record, we definitely met with everybody, and this was the agreement that was actually agreed on. So if there was anyone outside of that, I definitely wasn't aware.
And those people who asked for their money back and were expecting it a year ago, when will they receive their money?
Well, that I'm just literally on everything finding out. So I'm gonna definitely get more involved in figuring out what that's about. But we do have instruments in place to make sure those people are happy, even if I gotta go in my own pocket.
AKON had appeared that he was doing a good job, but it seems though that he is just like most who would want to use Africa only for his.
But as far as we know, AKON has not come out of his pocket to pay these people back. The coin eventually fell to 0.0029, which is essentially 100% loss. At the moment, AKON is not listed on any cryptocurrency exchange, so nobody can buy it, sell it, or use it anywhere. It is worth nothing. As if it couldn't get any worse, AKON City today is an utter ghost town. Last year, this picture went viral on one singular Minecraft concrete brick laid in the center of AKON City, showcasing an extreme lack of progress being made considering the fact that AKON City would be done by 2024. However, there is a little more than just this one stone. Today in 2024, you can see first completed building, an extremely standard and non-futuristic building that they say is a recreational center. There is also another small, barely constructed building with a spiral staircase, which, to be fair, does not look like a small version of what the original fiction depicted. However, 99% of the land remains vacant, with wild cattle grazing. Yes, technically, construction has begun, but as you can see, this is a far cry from the touristic megacity we were promised. Akon blamed the pandemic, saying everything would be pushed back by 2 years, which doesn't really make sense considering he announced Akon City to the international media when the pandemic was at its worst moment. The unfortunate part about the land that's just sitting unused is that the land belonged to several hundred people who were still owed compensation from the Senegalese government. And since Akon has massively overpromised and massively underdelivered, people are starting to question his intention. In the first place, I plan to retire in that city, he says confidently. I don't like to use the word king of the city, but that's what it will turn out to be. Words like this have made some people believe that Akon City is just an empire to inflate his ego at best and a corruption billion-dollar scam at worst. Additionally, Akon's views of the Western world's moral and gender roles has made people disagree with him as a leader.
But what happens in today's society, the woman chooses which role she want to play. In the last 10, 15 years, I haven't met a woman that can actually cook. I haven't met a woman that actually wants to clean the house. Man, bro, I've met the baddest bitches on the globe and asked to go to the bathroom, and the bathroom looked like shit. Hair all over the place, all kind of products. Like, come on now. That's a natural instinct. That's a natural instinct.
Time you're at every single recital.
No, that's a white man's thing. Who gives a fuck about a recital? The reason why people like me can't spend every single day and minute with their children is because the mother's job is to be there with the children. I'm the man. My job is to provide comfort so the mother can provide and raise those children to be like me. Now, if it's a man, when a child gets to a certain age, that's my responsibility now to show him what a man's role and responsibility is. But you can't expect a man to conquer the world if he's home with children. In life, there's roles.
Yeah, no.
A man has his role.
Yes.
And a woman has her role.
Yes.
But the day the woman believes that the man is supposed to share her role with her, then that means she's lacking. So I don't go pull my wife out to the construction site to go pull nails in 2x4s because that's not her place. A guy ain't got time to be in the house all day.
Now, this could be chalked up to just a traditional style of raising family, but sometimes he justifies his belief with extreme levels of bro science. Hopefully, in Akon City, he is not in charge of the educational curriculum because his science is considerably off here.
The man, we are the kings and the divine of this universe. A woman can never compare to the man. They have to understand that here in America. The women don't create life. They support the creation of life. A man right now can create life without a woman, but a woman can't create life without a man. If I wanted to create life right now without a woman, I would just shoot my sperm, put it in the incubator, and just give it 9 months, even maybe less with today's science, and a baby will be born. A woman can't do that.
Akon is likely referring to vitro gametogenesis, which is essentially creating an egg in a sperm outside of the human body to create a life. And the answer is no, we cannot do this right now. We can fertilize a female egg in a male sperm in a lab environment, but in order to give birth, the fertilized embryo must be transferred back to the woman's uterus. At the absolute worst, Akon could be a scammer with a god complex who is willing to take Chinese money to build infrastructure that African nation cannot afford, only to line his own pocket. While this nation crumble and get taken over by the Chinese government, or at best, he is truly trying to build a futuristic utopia for Africans. And unfortunately, the massive political and economical responsibility were far more than he could handle. And as of right now, Akon City won't exist for a very long time, or to be honest, it's just a scam.